Do you play guitar? Do you want to record yourself playing guitar? Do you want to make your own music in your own home? Today I'm going to show you my process for creating music in a home studio. I'm going to go through the exact gear that I use, and I'm also going to give you some recommendations for alternative gear if you have a certain budgetary restriction or you're going for a certain sound. I will give you all the details that you need to create your own music in your own home. And I'm also going to give you a little bonus music video as a result of this whole thing, because I'm going to write and produce a track right here and now. So we're going to go in order of what I believe are the most important aspects of a home studio, and then I will kind of get into the logistics of how I'm going to go about recording and producing this song today. The most important part of any production setup, in my opinion, are monitor speakers. When I was first learning how to produce music, I didn't have monitor speakers, and I listened to mixes that I had made using, just headphones basically, and I listened to them on my first pair of monitor speakers, and it sounded like crap. I use Atom Audio A8X speakers. A good pair of monitor speakers will drastically affect how your mix sounds and how the music sounds across various listening devices. I think Atom Audio make the best studio monitors. I have the A8X models. I wouldn't necessarily recommend those for your first pair, but there is an entry-level option called the T-Series from Atom Audio that will massively impact your mixing quality. The interesting thing about studio monitors is they essentially magnify all the details of whatever sound it is you're hearing. So if it sounds good on your monitor speakers, it will sound awesome on every other commercial speaker, from car stereos to iPhone speakers and everything in between. As far as where you want to place the studio monitors, you want them on either side of your computer screen, obviously, an equal distance apart from each other and where your ear level is. So as you can see, these monitor speakers are about 3 or 3.5 feet apart from each other, and they're also 3 or 3.5 feet from my ears, perfectly level. That's how you want to set it up. As you can see all around my studio, I have studio foam. It's made by Auralex. There's other brands, but I like Auralex the best. And it's essentially there to deaden the sound of the room so that you can take advantage of the sound perception you're receiving from your studio monitors. If you have studio monitors but an untreated room, then it's kind of counterproductive, because what you're hearing from the studio monitors is going to be a little bit manipulated by a boomy room, say, or there's too much reverb in the room, so you're not necessarily hearing an accurate representation of what you've recorded. As far as the essentials of studio foam, obviously the wall is key, but also those bass traps up in the corners of the room, just 4 of them for a room is all you really need. You can put them down near the floor, but if you are on a tighter budget, I would recommend just keeping them up in the top corners of your room. The next essential piece of the puzzle when it comes to home studio production is the interface. I have a Universal Audio Apollo Twin quad core. I love the Universal Audio stuff because it comes with its own console, which I'm gonna get to when I get to the actual DAW, digital audio workstation that I use. It has its built-in guitar plugins, and this is an excellent option for those of you who may live in an apartment or can't really crank up an amp. Having plugins at your disposal is just great for songwriting, because you can dial in any tone you want. And the way they make these plugins these days, especially the Universal Audio ones, well, it's pretty hard to tell the difference between those and a real amp. And I'll get to the reasons that I use real amps sometimes and I use plugins other times. Basically, it comes down to the feel of the amp and the air moving, and really that stuff is just dependent on your mood. Amp modeling has become so advanced that, well, it just comes down to what you feel like doing. I am actually going to be using microphones today to mic up an amp for this song. Just know having an interface is actually critical to your production, because it is not only the way you get microphones into the digital audio workstation, but also, like I mentioned, the plugins and the quality of your preamp is really going to diminish the gap between, say, your home studio and a professional recording studio. The preamps in the Universal Audio stuff are simply the best, I would say. And you don't have to get the Apollo Twin either. That's obviously a pretty expensive unit. There is this new one, I think, called the Arrow that they just came out with. I haven't used it, but like I said, if it's universal audio, it's gonna be good. You can also check out maybe like a Focusrite Scarlett, but I prefer something with a Thunderbolt connection or some other high-speed connection because it just allows you to work a little bit more efficiently. So here's the miking setup I'm gonna use today, and this is maybe a little bit of overkill. You typically don't need more than one mic on a cab, but we're going a little over the top in this video. So I have a Shure SM57 as well as an Earthworks SR25. The 57 is a dynamic mic, as you know, and the SR25 is a condenser mic. Now most phones these days have a flashlight, and if you hold that flashlight in the right spot, it'll reveal the speaker outline. So I generally mic the cone a little bit off axis, and I'm gonna do that with both of these mics. Right up to the grill cloth. So that's the riff that I've been working on for this tune, and we can see it's starting to get a little philosophical. What do you do with a dual mic'd cab? I like to blend the two microphones together. I like the high end of a 57 and I like the low end of the Earthworks mic. So blending those two together, you can get sort of in the weeds as far as panning goes, and you gotta look out for phase, but if you mic the amp correctly, you're not gonna run into too many issues and have a lot of creative freedom. As you can see, the DAW that I use is Logic Pro 10, and I have one track per mic, and the way I have them blended is the SM57 pretty much up the middle, a little bit to the left, and the S25 hard to the right, about 30 to 40 in the measurement scale of panning for Logic. And as I mentioned here, the advantage of the universal audio stuff is it comes with its own software plugins. This is a preamp I really like to use for guitar, and it comes with a lot of different actual presets that you can then tweak. Again, not stuff that you necessarily need, but it's just fun to have. Logic has its own built-in plugins, of course, as well, its own set of electric guitar presets and all these different amp designers. If you're not miking a cab and you're just going direct into your interface, there is plenty to choose from regarding guitar and otherwise. You have all these clean, crunch, distorted, and you can do it for bass, any sort of vocals or acoustic guitar. It's all here in Logic. So this is why I think Logic is the best DAW, digital audio workstation, because it just has so much creative outlets to enjoy. And the best thing, I think, especially for somebody like me who can't play drums, there's a track that you can add called a drummer track, and it gives you all these different styles to choose from. Anything from pop rock to hip hop if you wanted. And the amazing thing to me is once you have a drummer style that you like, you can then change it very intricately, different sort of beat presets and different feels, either swing or straight, and you can have more or less hi-hat, more or less percussion, more or less kick and snare. I'll just go through a couple right now so you can see the power of this thing. Go less. Change the feel. Say I want some more hi-hat. You get the picture. It is endless. I should also mention here, this monitor is not actually my computer. This is an external monitor from BenQ, and you don't need a big monitor like this. You can just use your laptop or computer screen. Here are the specs of my current computer that I just got. It's a 15-inch MacBook Pro 2018, but you definitely don't need a rig this powerful to do just audio. I use this for video as well, so I need more capacity, but generally the one thing you're looking for, whether you use PC or Mac, is the RAM. The more RAM you have, the faster your computer will be able to process information, And generally that's a good thing when you are recording audio. Another thing I'll mention here is this keyboard. It is an M Audio MIDI keyboard. You can really get any M Audio keyboard that fits your needs. I have just the 49 ES, it's 49 keys. All I use it for is inputting MIDI, nothing else, and it's very basic, doesn't cost that much. Anything from M Audio regarding MIDI input is pretty great. Well, there you have it, guys. Those are my recommendations for setting up a home studio, the basics that you would need to get started. It is a kind of a lot if you've never really considered any of this stuff before, but trust me, everything that I mentioned here today is essential if you really want to make the investment in not only resources, but your future. If you have aspirations to become a session guitar player or a producer or an engineer or anything having to do with music, really, possessing the skills to produce yourself and record your own music translates extremely well into the real world of music and is much appreciated in any context that you'll find yourself in, any musical situation. So I highly recommend trying to record yourself. It has so many great benefits and really no drawbacks except, well, you kind of become addicted to gear, which aren't we all already addicted to gear? I'm gonna go ahead and record a song. It's actually going to already have been released on my channel, and I am going to title the video, My New Amp Is Insert Awesome Adjective, because it is sort of featuring my new Bullhead amp. If you want to go check that out, you will see the fruits of the labors that started here in the studio today. So with that, I want you to leave a comment if you like this sort of rundown and you want me to go in depth on actual recording tips, you know, the workflow and the process that goes into recording a song like the one that you can hear. I'll also link that video down in the description, along with links to all the gear that I mentioned. Thanks a lot for watching, and until next time, keep shredding.